Hi everyone, it's Dawn with Dawn's Purple Koala Paper Crafting. Today I have a thank you card I wanted to show you. I make a lot of thank you cards. I like sending them out to people that do some kind things, and I also like to send them to my customers. So I make a lot of them just to have on hand, just in case. So today we will be using the Fresh Fruit stamp set by Stampin' Up! And we're going to be using these two flowers, this little circle, and the thank you sentiment. You could really use the happy birthday or I'm here for you, whatever sentiment you want. But today, like I said, we're doing thank you cards, so we'll be using this stamp set. We're going to be working with one of Stampin' Up's new in colors, the Peekaboo Peach, one of my favorite colors. We're going to start with a piece of cardstock, which is your standard 8.5 by 11, and I've cut it in half at 5.5. And we're going to be using this as our card base. So I scored it at 4 1/4. And I'm going to fold this over. You really don't have to score it. I do prefer to score it just to give it a nice, make things easier. Use the bone folder to give it a nice crisp crease. So we're going to set this aside, and we're going to take a piece of Whisper White, and this is cut at 5 1/4 by 4. And we'll use our Peekaboo Peach ink. And I'm going to start by stamping the solid flower, and I'm going to ink it up and then stamp it off. Now you do want to have some background paper to use to be stamping off onto. Also, we're going to be stamping around the edges a little bit, so you want to make sure that your surface is protected. So let me just ink that up and stamp it off, and then stamp it onto our paper. Again, and I'm just going to stamp these randomly just to cover the whole paper. And like I said, we're going to be stamping off the edges, so you do want to make sure you have your surface protected. There we go. Okay, now we will take the outline stamp. And you want to pay attention to how you stamped these petals. This petal here, I have it facing upward, so I want to make sure that this stamp is positioned the same way. If I have it turned like this, it's going to be a little more awkward to line it up. So I'm just going to hold it like this, and I'm going to ink it up, and using the full strength, I'm just going to line this up and stamp. Doesn't have to be perfect. I never strive for perfection. I'm just going to do the best I can. And using it full strength really shows the two different colors you can get from one ink pad. So I'm just going to continue stamping these outlines. And one more. There. Now I'm going to take the little circle, and I'm going to, again using full strength, just going to position that so that it's in the center of the flower. Again, not trying to be perfect, just get it in the vicinity of where it belongs. And there we go. Okay, now we can go ahead and add our adhesive to this. And position this in the center and press it down. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take a strip of Whisper White cardstock. This is a 1/2 inch, and the length of this really doesn't matter because we're going to trim it down. You just want to make sure that it's long enough that your sentiment will fit on. And with these strips of paper, I have a ton of them because I make a lot of cards, and the majority of my cards are solid color base, and I use the Whisper White layer that I stamp on. So I cut a lot of these ahead of time so that I always have them on hand, and I just store them in this stamp case. But when I'm cutting them all out, I take a standard piece of Whisper White, and this is 8.5 by 11. And since we are using the layer size of 5 1/4 by 4, I cut this at 10.5, and then I'll cut it at 5 1/4. So that'll give me 2 strips. Then I'll take those strips and I will cut them at 8 and 4. So that'll give me the 4 pieces of layer. And I end up with these strips that are 1/2 inch wide, which I save, and I've got a bunch of them. But like I said, I use them. I find that they do work perfectly. They're the perfect size to stamp most of the sentiments or banners or whatnot. So that's what I'm using. If you don't have any leftover strips, just cut a piece that's 1/2 inch wide. I'm going to use the thank you, and I'm going to ink that up. And I'm just going to position that and stamp it. And we are done with our ink, so we can put that away. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this banner punch, and I'm going to just put the edges in. I'm just going to line it up and center it, and then do the same thing for the other edge, and just try and see that they're the same. And now if you don't have this, this is retired, so it's no longer available. But if you don't have that, you can easily do this same effect using your scissors. You can take your strip, stamp it like you normally would, but trim it to a little bit longer than what you want it to be, and then just take your scissors and make a snip, just a small snip right in the center, and then go from the corner edge of this paper to the end of your snip and just cut that, and then do the same thing for your other edge, your other corner. Go from the corner to there, and you can end up with the same thing. Do it to the other side, and like I said, you'll have the same effect. You won't need the punch. I have the punch, so I find that it makes it easier. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and flip it over, and I'm going to use a couple of the foam dimensionals. I'll put them on the back, peel them off. Oops. And just position this anywhere on here and press it down. Now for the inside of the card, you could leave it like this. This is a light enough color that when you're writing, the ink will show up fine. I like to use another piece of the Whisper White and just put some adhesive and put that on there. I just find that it gives it a more finished look, but either way is fine. You can leave it if you want. Here's a couple of the other cards that I made. I use the other in colors. Here's another peach one. And these are all the in colors from Stampin' Up! You can make a whole bunch of them, super quick, super easy. You can whip these out in no time. You can also dress them up a little bit. Here I added some coordinating ribbon and some coordinating enamel dots, and I just put a couple of those in the flower centers. This one I did the same thing. I used the ribbon, but I used some of the jewel rhinestone. Just give it a little bit of bling. These are great to, like I said, keep on hand, or if you want to make a set of them, add some envelopes, box them up, and give them away as a gift. I think it'll make a really nice gift. Well, that's all I have for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a message below or contact me directly. If you would like to know the products that I used or how to get them for yourself, they will be listed at the end of this video. You can also see all of the details, including the exact sizes and products used, along with some pictures, on my website at www.dawnspurplekoala.com. Thanks for stopping by.